Hi guys, remember that lie Boris Johnson told about 40 new hospitals? We all thought it had gone away because, of course, it was about tricking the public into thinking that the Tories actually cared about public services and the NHS in particular. Did Boris Johnson ever apologise for that lie? Of course not. But it seems the same fib has been sent to A&E and resuscitated. Here Victoria Atkins, the Health Secretary, was talking about 40 new hospitals, if you can believe it.
You have got an £11 billion backlog of repairs in the health service. There are hospitals where roofs are being held up by scaffoldings and their buckets catching drips in corridors. Was it a mistake for successive Tory governments to take money from what's called the capital budget, the budget to fix things, in order to put it onto day-to-day spending? Because that's what happened year after year after year. Was that a mistake?
So let me just help with the numbers there. So we acknowledging the problems that some of our ageing buildings have. You know, the NHS is celebrated its 75th anniversary last year. Of course, we have older buildings. We want to modernise those, which is partly why we have the new hospitals programme, building 40 hospitals by the end of the decade.
Which is not building 40 new hospitals, as your predecessor admitted. But my question here is a clear one. Was it a mistake for successive Conservative governments to take money from the pot that was allocated for buildings, for capital investment, as it's called, and to use it on day-to-day costs? Was that a mistake? Because many experts in this sector think that's what's gone wrong.
So to help with that as well, we've also, of course, had we've had the acknowledgement about RAC, and so we have a specific programme to try to drive RAC out of those hospitals that, like many other public buildings, have them in, and we are on train to do that. But we have also committed this year alone some £4.2 billion to maintenance and infrastructure.
Our question was whether it was a mistake that you haven't done that in successive years, and our viewers will hear that you don't want to address that this morning.
But in fairness as well, it's for integrated care boards at local level to apportion that money to the buildings. They have my complete support to do so, because I absolutely understand the problems that your viewers are raising.
My goodness, okay. So let's park the 40 new hospitals for a moment and focus on the main point here. The main point is that there is £11 billion worth of refurbishment necessary to be done on NHS hospitals. And when you actually look at what's available for capital investment, capital infrastructure, well, the Tories have actually dipped into that pot and used it to fund day-to-day expenditure. This is insane. This is, of course, not a mistake. It's by design. Think about it for a moment. There's money set aside. There should be money set aside to upgrade hospitals, to build new hospitals, to refurbish hospitals, whatever. That money has been used to fund day-to-day expenditure. And what the Tories have been doing over the last number of years is saying, we have actually increased NHS funding. But what they've done in reality, it seems, is moved money from one side of the balance sheet to the other. Moved it from one sector of the NHS into the other. Now, also add to this, when doctors and nurses were negotiating with the government for better pay and conditions, better pay, for example, the Tories dragged their feet, turned it into a political football, and then eventually said, okay, yes, you can have a pay increase, but it must come out of the existing NHS budget. So the NHS budget is reduced because doctors and nurses have to be paid more. If you want to keep them, you have to pay them more. It's also having capital expenditure reduced in order to pay for day-to-day expenditure, which of course is always more expensive because of inflation. And at the same time, the Tories are saying, yeah, we're funding the NHS more. This is insane. And what it's doing is it's creating massive problems for the future. I don't know if this was a political decision. Let's feck things up for the next government, because when they take over, it's going to be an absolute disaster. Is this the plan? Or is it just, we don't care, we just want to engage in smoke and mirrors activities where we convince the public that we're spending more on the NHS, but in reality we're just moving money around? Moving money from where it should be used to rebuild hospitals, upgrade hospitals, or build new ones, and instead putting it into day-to-day expenditure and tell the public, see, we're spending more in the NHS. This is insane. Because what it does is it creates real serious problems for the future, because these NHS hospitals need to be maintained. They need to be upgraded. A lot of these buildings, as she said, are from the Victorian period. It's expensive. You need to invest in that. But they have instead moved the money to day-to-day expenditure and then told the public, yeah, see, we're spending more on the NHS. These hospitals are literally falling down. They need to be rebuilt. And the next government is going to have to raise taxes or find money somewhere else to rebuild these hospitals. And I can guarantee you'll have the Tories saying, see, they're spending too much money on the NHS and services are not improving. Charlatans. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.